Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Cato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today I have a super exciting video to share with you because I am not only joining the blog hop for the Reverse Confetti new release, but I'm also joining their design team and I'm so excited to be joining them. I chose to make a Halloween card today, but there are also a lot of holiday products in this new release. You should definitely check them out. I will leave some links in the description below for you to check out, and I hope you do. The stamp set I'm working with today is super adorable. It's the Boudet stamp set, and I stamped some of the images onto Fabriano Accademia 200 GSM cardstock, and this is great for colored pencils. I am using the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils today. Those are the pencils I have. Prismacolors are great as well, or so I've heard, but you can use pretty much any colored pencil. If you get a few techniques under your belt, you will be able to work with all colored pencils, even if they're quite low quality. And the first thing you should know about colored pencils is pressure. Putting too much pressure on your pencils or on your paper will give you a really great vibrant color, but if you want to add shading over top of that, it might be difficult because layering pencils on top of each other once you've already put pressure on the first layer makes it really hard to do so. I do go from dark to light because of that reason. When I put my darkest color down first, I'm sure that I have my shading down, and then I can try to blend that out with lighter colors, and that usually works out fine. If you like to work from light to dark instead, I urge you to make sure you don't put too much pressure on your first layer. Start out very lightly and just layer colors on top of each other. You might have to spend more time coloring than I do. I use a lot of pressure to start with. It's just how I've always colored, and instead of trying to teach myself something different, I adapted and I work from dark to light now. Now this paper is specifically for colored pencils, so that does make it easier to layer things on top of each other. Layering pencils on top of each other on smooth cardstock is pretty impossible, impossible, so that's why I'm using this quite textured cardstock instead. Then I'll just fussy cut out these two images, and I also fussy cut out the spider and colored that in, but that's not shown here. Now for the rest of my card, I die cut these swirlies. They are part of a previous release. They are not part of this release, but they are a great addition to any card. I die cut 9 of them. I want to make 3 swirlies, and I will layer 3 layers together for each one. So you can see me add the glue on the first layer, then tap it off onto a scrap piece of cardstock, and that will get rid of the excess glue, and you won't have any glue seeping out around the edges. For the background, I used a stitched scallop die, also by Reverse Confetti. This is a gorgeous die, and I added some interest to it by piercing through all the stitched detail and actually adding some stitching on top of it. Now this is super easy to do. I just used some embroidery floss, but I only used 3 strands of each color, so you can split your embroidery floss, right? And then to adhere this, I put foam tape in between all of my stitching, and that will make sure that the panel isn't adhered wonky because of that extra dimension you have on the back of your card because you have thread going down there. And I can just put that onto my top folding white card base, press that down nice and easy, and then I can work on the rest of my card. Now, like I said, I have 3 of these swirlies. I'm just making sure they fit how I want them to, because I didn't plan this out very well, so still have to make sure it all will work out. And then I'm adding glue to the back of them. And again, I will use that technique of dabbing that excess glue off onto a scrap piece of cardstock. And that will just get rid of the excess glue, but it will leave enough glue for it to stick down to your card base. I really love this trick because it saves your backgrounds. Usually when I added dainty die cuts like this, I would always have some glue seeping out of the sides, even when you have such a fine applicator as on the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. But this way I don't have any problems with that anymore, so I really suggest you try to dab some glue off onto a scrap piece of cardstock. You're not wasting any glue this way. You would have used that glue anyway, but this way it's just not visible on your card where you don't want it to be. Now I decided I also wanted that spider from this beautiful stamp set, and I stamped that out as well and fussy cut that out too. There are matching dies for these. I just don't like working with matching dies, but they are available. I'm just putting that spider on top of a piece of foam tape so it has some nice dimension to it. And then I'm doing the same with the cat I just colored in. I'm putting quite a bit of foam tape in the middle of that because that bit is not on top of one of those reeds or those swirlies. So I'm making sure it won't sag in the middle. And I'm using another piece of foam tape to adhere that bed. Now you could also add a sentiment to this, but I didn't want to cover up that background. It took me hours to stitch that. I love doing it, but it did take me a while. So I wanted that to shine as well. I just folded an envelope, an A2 sized envelope with my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board, and I folded that out of Clairefontaine 250 GSM white cardstock. This cardstock is perfect for ink blending, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But first I will assemble this envelope with some more of that Barely Art Precision Craft glue. If you're giving this card as a gift for someone else to send out, you can add some double-sided tape to the top flap, and that way they can easily seal the envelope themselves. Now once again, I die cut that stitched scallop die, also by Reverse Confetti, but I am using it as a stencil. I just used it as a guide to cut out a scallop, and I saved both pieces. And I'm using them to add 3 scallops to my envelope. I'm using the same colors as I used in my stitching, those typical Halloween colors, some bright orange, some lime green, and some nice purple. All of the supplies I used will be listed in the description box below, and I will also link to my blog post for this card. This card is part of the blog hop celebrating this new release, so if you click through to my blog post, you will find all of the other creators listed at the bottom of my blog post, and you can hop along from there for more inspiration. I really love how this card came out with the stitching in the background and that gorgeous cat as well. I really like how cute it is. And I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. And again, the links to the blog hop will be linked in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I am so excited to be part of the Reverse Confetti design team, and I hope I will see you next time.